A biblical perspective on life, culture and current events. This is 2020 on Vision.
Let's turn our attention to generous Christians and organised ways that philanthropists are finding creative opportunities to plough finance into the gospel kingdom initiatives around our nation. Mark Tapping from justso.org is joining us. Just So, inspired by Jesus' teaching, sows money generously in order to see gospel seeds scattered abundantly through the work of gospel entrepreneurs. Mark, a special welcome along to 2020.
Thanks, Neil. It's good to be with you.
Mark, for some people it's going to be like a shock. You mean there are people who really want to sow real money into creative initiatives that get evangelists up and going? I mean, for some, this is like music to their ears.
Yeah, that's what we like to hear, Neil, and genuinely there are. There really is.
The creative evangelists, I imagine you're not just, representing an organisation that just shells out money left, right and centre without much scrutiny, but the creative evangelists and the initiatives they're coming up with. Share a little bit with us about what sort of things are being supported.
Yeah, thanks, Neil. So we set out to create a platform that allows creative evangelists to pitch their ideas, their gospel ideas. They have projects that they want to do and share the gospel of Jesus with people in creative and innovative and fresh ways. And often these sorts of people don't necessarily have the capital to go ahead with the projects they have. And churches just simply can't afford to cover every good evangelistic idea. And so this platform exists for that. So there's creative evangelists that have ideas that fit within the arts, within sports, within community development, within campus ministry, whatever you could almost imagine in any sphere of society. There's creative evangelists who have a heart for people, and fresh ideas for how they can take the gospel of Jesus and share it with them. And we give them a platform to pitch those ideas and get funding.
No doubt those who are philanthropic here and wanting to support generously those good ideas, they're going to have some necessary outcomes. They're going to want to see some runs on the board. Is that the way you'd look at it, evaluating these things?
Yeah, that's insightful. That's very good. Yes, that is correct. We are a little bit different. I'll just say two things. There aren't a lot of opportunities for philanthropists to find the sort of ground level evangelistic ideas. So this platform gives them an opportunity to find things that without the giving won't exist. And so that's sort of a wonderful, for those who are sort of looking for that more risky giving. That's a great opportunity. But the second thing is every creative evangelist has measurable goals. And within those 12 months, we journey with them to assess those goals and to report back to the generous sowers on how they went. We don't tell them what their goals need to be, but we work with them to hear what their goals are for their project, to make sure that they are evangelistic, and then measurable, that we can give a good report.
I'm assuming you've got people who might be applying for these sorts of funding opportunities that might be coming from a smaller church, effective in what they do, but sometimes the bigger church has bigger resources to support from the local church. But if you're not coming from a bigger church, but you've got some really fabulous and innovative ideas, is this the sort of person that maybe gets a foot in the door where they wouldn't ordinarily think that they'd get any funding for their ideas?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a lot of our experience is exactly that. Just people with less access to resources. Now they have access to resources. That's right. We don't discriminate. So you can be part of a big church or you can be part of a large charity. Our great concern or great interest is innovative, fresh evangelistic ideas. But you're 100% correct that where there is an absence of resources, we certainly are here to help.
Let's talk about how someone with some great ideas and some runs on the board, and I guess they're going to have a mature outlook and they're going to have their own goals and ways that they can measure those. How do they then pitch their project to the people who will say yes or no to a funding opportunity?
Yeah. Great question. It's actually quite simple. Anyone in Australia can go onto the website, justso.org. They can put in an application. The application takes maybe 20 minutes, and there you outline the project that you want to do with the goals and your budget requirements, and a pitch video. That gets reviewed by our team, and if feedback is needed, we might ask for it to be revised and just make sure that it's ticking all the boxes. Otherwise, it gets accepted onto the website, and it can live there for 6 months for any generous sower to view. So if anyone goes on the website now, they'll see projects that are awaiting funding. The funding is $20,000. I'm not sure I've stated, but just to be clear, that the one seed is $20,000, and that's what people are looking to give. And then we will also push it to people that we know are looking to give. We'll send them the applications so they can receive those straight at the desk.
I think for some listeners, it's getting better all the time listening to you. One seed is $20,000. And if you are in that evangelistic initiative and you see some success for that, then ongoing funding is a likelihood. Is that the way it works?
Yeah, that's correct. So first year you pitch for one seed and you get $20,000 to do your project. And our hope is that project is incredibly fruitful, and everyone's hope is that project is incredibly fruitful. And where the projects are finding life, you can come back the second year and pitch for a scaling seed of up to 5 seeds or up to $100,000.
Right. Let's talk about the sort of projects that are being financed right now, because as I understand it, I mean, there might be some, maybe there are some ways that you think are just ordinary evangelistic pursuits, but there are donors who are looking to support more risky type projects. What do you mean by a riskier type of a project, or something that's really creative and innovative?
Yeah. Neil, there's so many projects that run through my mind that are so different. But there's some, which I think almost any Christian would feel capable of doing. Like there's a project where a couple opened up their home to host a meal once a week for lonely people in the neighborhood, including refugees, immigrants, and others. And that group grew. They didn't have the funds to feed them, so they pitched for funding to feed lonely people in their home once a week. And then at that meal, invite them to read the Bible together at another stage. So it wasn't a sort of bait and switch type situation. That group flourished. It grew quite quickly. People came week after week. They started joining the Bible study, became increasingly curious about Jesus, and today some people are followers of Jesus through that. So second year that they pitched to scale that and to go and model that in other neighborhoods with other people. So that's one which I think almost most Christians may feel like, yeah, okay, I could put a meal together for people that are otherwise lonely and start a relationship. But there's other ones that have been maybe far more creative and requiring particular gifts or skills. And I think there's room for that as well.
Okay, connecting the donor with the evangelism project, and that's what you're really doing with this ministry role here. But you're looking not only for people who've got creative projects, but also you could do with some more extra connecting donors, people who are philanthropic when it comes to evangelism too. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, they welcome. The more the merrier. The more, yep.
And for that sort of person, their trust in you is going to be pretty important too, because justso.org, and I'm going to mention that again as we conclude our conversation, but you go to justso.org, and does that give you an explanation of how this all works?
Yeah, it does. That's a great place to go to, and sowers are welcome, and we're happy to have any conversation with sowers. We've never had a sower be uncomfortable with our processes and procedures. We feel fairly proud of doing things well and excellently and within the regulations to give us the privilege to keep sowing. And also just to say that sowers are anonymous unless they want to make themselves known. And many sowers prefer to keep their anonymity.
So there's a little of that, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. And there's that anonymity. I mean, there's a very biblical basis for that too. But for people who want to see evangelism projects get off the ground and they want to fund those, and maybe they don't have one like that they can do in their local church, but they're looking for opportunities, and it could be anywhere around the nation, to be able to participate in such a new venture. Let me give the website, justso.org. justso, SOW.org. And Mark Tapping is from justso.org, and a breath of fresh air on the sorts of initiatives that are getting off the ground. Mark, appreciate you, and thanks so much for sharing these insights with listeners today on 2020.
Thank you, Neil. Appreciate it as well. God bless.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.